What's going on, guys? We are back with some European power rankings now. I'm recording this before we do it on the pre-show, hopefully on Sunday. But I can't unveil that until the pre-show on Sunday, so the others will come out on the following Monday. But these are the pro power rankings for the European teams in the Rlcs. Now this, if you missed the North American power rankings that we did, basically what I did was I polled the 3 starters and the coach for who they thought were the best teams 1 through 9, not including themselves. Not everyone has to answer. It doesn't really matter. As long as I got 1 entry per team, I was pretty much happy, because what I did was if more than one person filled it out per team, I would average those together so they would have one selection basically, or one pick for each team. So then we can average it out across all 10 teams where everyone only has one value. So we didn't. So nothing got weighted weirdly by, like, if 4 players from Reciprocity voted, but only 1 from Vitality, and Reciprocity thought TSM were great, it wouldn't weight it incredibly far in TSM's direction. But yeah, that's about it. We're going to go over what these teams did, and yeah, let's just get into it. If I'm on the right screen. All right, here we go. European Pro Power Rankings, number 10, Singularity at 8.06. Now, if you saw NA, this is not that bad of a value. The lowest that you can possibly get is 9. The highest is 1. 8.06 is better than what the other teams are doing on the other side. It seems like there's a little bit more disparity going on when you're so close to the 8th spot and not the 9th spot, which would be last in this case. That means there's going to be a lot of teams probably relatively close, or there was a lot of movement of who is actually last place. Team Singularity only had 2 overall 9s for last place. They actually had as high as a 5.67. One team gave them that high. No other team came even close to that number. The next highest was 7.33. So one team in particular really likes this Team Singularity. Maybe they think those scrims against that team is going really well. But 8.06, and they get last place here. Next up, Endpoint, 7.85. So incredibly close between Endpoint and Singularity. Endpoint, they had 1 really high, and this is going to be a common trend with Europe, where there's a lot of disparity going on, where a lot of teams have different opinions. Even teammates have different opinions, which we'll get to a little bit later. But 5.33 from one of the teams. They also had 1 straight up 9. They had a couple others that were close to 9, 8.75. But yeah, 5.33. The next highest was 7.33. So only one team put them that high, which is pretty surprising. I'm actually going to look real quick. There was a couple of teams that kind of ranked people weirdly, but I don't think it's either of these teams. I just want to make sure before we move on here. Where, like, teammates... Yeah, all right. Here's one. Team Singularity. One team, one of their teammates, or at least one of the guys on the team, had Team Singularity as number 4. The other 2 teammates had him number 9. That's, like... So I feel like either one is trolling, possibly, or that's how close these teams are right now between 4th and 9th. So that's just really, really odd to see. But, hey, it happens, right? So let's move on. Oops, wrong way. Endpoint, 7.85. Next up, Monaco at 6.70. So a full place and a little bit more above Endpoint. So you would say the F tier would be Team Singularity and Team Endpoint. But again, all 3 rival series teams rounding out the bottom. It was the same in NA with the 2 of them, but Monaco at least got a 6.7, so not, incredibly low. Their highest was a 5.67, so that means, like, Team Singularity had tied them as one of their best, and Endpoint actually had 1 higher. But yeah, 5.67. Their lowest, though, which is probably more important, was 7.75. No team had them last. No team even averaged them to be second to last. So not bad. Not bad there at all. So Monaco kind of, flirt in that 6 to 8 range. pretty consistent across the board for them. Nothing too surprising. I'll make sure here. But again, this just goes to show that the rival series teams, I think, still have a lot to prove versus the normal RLCS teams, even according to the pros and scrims. So for the most part, Monaco, they had one player on one team put them fourth. It was funny because that team actually filled out all their picks, and none of them agreed at all. They had Monaco 4th, 5th, and 6th, and 7th. So all of them had different picks there. But that was the highest. That team in particular kind of gave them the highest amount of picks. But yeah, let's move on. 6.58 for Barca. So Monaco and Barca, incredibly close. Barca was a little bit more polarizing. Their highest was a 5.25. Another team had them as a 5.5. But there was a team also that had them as 8.5. So pretty much dead last. 8.67 as well. Two teams had them near dead last. So a lot of disparity, a lot of inconsistency coming out from Barca. Probably the first one that's like truly inconsistent, where the picks are really all over the place. And it kind of makes sense. A new roster move with Flakes. They lose Bluey, who was like, he did a lot for that team last season. It's going to be a hard time to figure out how to gel. And also, they're three really talented players. So when they do gel, they might look great. But it's not going to be every single scrim. So, yeah, Barca, they actually had a 5 straight up. Actually, I missed 2, I think. So 5 to 8.67. Huge, huge disparity between different teams ranking them. So we'll see how they do. They're probably the wild card so far for Europe. Don't really know how it's going to go. But for right now, they're ranked number 7. Moving on, next pick. TSM, which this one might be a little bit surprising to the public because I feel like, including myself, I'm like, you're picking up Magnus, you're losing Alpha. It doesn't look like it's going to be a great season. But the pros are really respecting TSM. Not only are they 6th, which, okay, it's not like the greatest thing ever, but 5.61 compared to a 6.58 of Barca. So a full rank above them. So their averages are pretty good. TSM, watch out for them this season. Maybe we'll surprise the general audience or even myself, because I would think TSM would not be doing that well. But TSM's ranks as high as 4, just 4 flat out. That's pretty good. That's like world championship cusp. And then as low as 7? Yeah, low as 7. Only one team gave them a 7. Every other one was a place higher than that, at least. We have 5.67. We have 6s, a lot of 6s, but no one as low as the 7. But a 4.5 and a 4, pretty good ranks there. So 4 to 6 for the most part, with one pretty big outlier. But TSM, watch out for them this season. Who knows? We haven't seen it, obviously, because we haven't seen them play, but maybe that they're gelling and they'll figure it out. So TSM looking pretty decent. I'm going to check if any teammates had TSM in weird spots. For the most part, teammates agreed on spots. There was one team, one of the players had him 4, another one had him 8. So again, big disparity. And again, I'm just saying, it's going to be a wild European year. It always is, but any of these teams could just bounce up and down, it seems like. So we'll see who's hot on the days when they're playing their games. Probably be another hard prediction year for Europe. Next up, Veloce at 4.99 in 5th place. So kind of close to TSM. Veloce gets a little bit over a half placement better than them. But Veloce at 4.99, maybe surprising people too. Maybe some people would have Barca kind of in the mix versus Veloce. But I think this kind of makes sense, putting them 5th. It's probably the safe bet. So Veloce at number 5. Let's see what their ranks were. They had as high as 2.67 a team gave them. 2.67. That's pretty impressive. And then as low as a 7.33. So that's a pretty wide margin. Another very inconsistent team. And this was across the board. Like, all their ranks are just like spread out across that 2 to 7 range. One of them at a 6. 5.67, a 3.5. So Veloce, another one of those teams where people don't really know where to put them. So I would say the 2 wild cards so far, Veloce and Barca, the two very inconsistent teams. So we'll see how they do. They were planned to play week 1. We're not sure what's happening yet for this weekend at the time of this recording. Maybe they've played. I don't know. But yeah, we'll see how that all plays out there. But two wildly inconsistent teams, it seems like, but Veloce more on the better end, as you can see, with some people putting them as possibly like the 3rd best team in the world or in Europe. So not bad. Not bad at all. Next up, Mouse. Here's where another gap exists. If I had to do tiers, once again, we got the F tier, we got the D tier, or the C tier, we'll say with Monaco and Barca. Then we got the B tier, TSM, and probably Veloce on different ends of the spectrum of that tier. But, I'd say B tier there. Then we start moving into the A tier, where, to me, going into the season, it is very top 4 heavy, and I expect that the top 4 to finish in the top 4. Just depends how they finish. But Mouse picking up Scrub, they get a full placement higher than Veloce and a little bit extra, 1.2 basically. But Mouse at 3.8 might be still relatively low in some people's minds, but picking up Scrub, obviously a big move. Let's see where Mouse ranked. They were incredibly consistent. A ton of people had them in the 3 to 4 range, but 2 outliers, 6.67 on one of their picks, and the other one was a 5. But everyone else had them 3 or some 3 and a decimal. So most people have them as the 3rd to 4th best, because obviously you can't include yourself. So like 3rd to 4th best, but 2 teams kind of pushed them down the ranks a little bit more than they were expected. So 3.8 for Mouse. And I'm going to look real quick just to see if Mouse had any incredible inconsistencies. Yeah, one team had them at 4th, and teammates had them at 8. So 4 and 8. Again, big differences here. But for the most part, pretty consistent besides that. All right, moving on. Next pick, we got Dignitas at 2.52. So I think we might have an S tier here. So I think we have an A tier of Mouse kind of by themselves. Because again, 1.3 placements behind Dignitas. Dignitas ranking it at 2.52. So we'll put them in the S tier. Dignitas. Dignitas, had a great world championship. We'll see if they can continue that onward. And it looks like the pros agree that they're a pretty good team. Their ranks were very wildly different on the top end. They were as low as a 4, as high as a 1.5. So some team, a 1.25. So some teams have them 1st, some teams have them 4th. Then there's some ranks in between. Now, obviously, it's not as extreme as Veloce and Barca, but I think that's, again, because of how top 4 heavy Europe is, where it's going to be hard to rank them any lower than that, in my opinion. So Dignitas at 2.52. Again, some teams have them as their best team, so watch out for them coming in. They're one of the first team, actually the first team that we talked about that has some first place votes. Next up, Vitality, 2.15. I would say in the S tier as well with Dignitas, which means Reciprocity is number 1. Vitality at 2.15. One team put them as low as 3.33, and then some other teams had them as just a clear number 1. Another team actually had them as a 4. So some teams are not believing in Vitality, but for the most part, ranking between 1 and 2 across most of them. There's a few 2 to 3s as well, but it just kind of goes to show you that Europe's a little bit not certain on who's the best team right now. And speaking of that, Reciprocity, number 1, 2.00. So they average number 2, but they are number 1. That's how good Europe is. That's how many votes get split amongst these top 3 between Dignitas, Vitality, and Reciprocity. I put them all in tier S. There is no GOAT S tier on this one. So tier S, Reciprocity, Vitality, Dig. Tier A, Mouse by themselves, according to the pros. Tier B, Veloce and TSM. C, Barca and Monaco. And F, Endpoint and Singularity. That's where I would tier them out. Reciprocity at 2.0. We had only one that was a consensus number 1, where they averaged 1. and as low as a 3.5. So again, ranks are very different. Most teams have them 1 or 2, with some in the decimal range between 2 and 3. But Reciprocity is the most consistent team in these picks, obviously. They have the 2.0. But again, I think in Europe right now, it's anyone's game. Who knows? We have teams down here like Veloce and Barca moving from like 5th or 4th to 9th. So watch out for those guys. It could be wild cards there. Then the top 4, it's a complete mixed bag. And this was obviously done about a week and a half ago. So maybe Mouse and Scrub are getting more gelled. Who knows? Maybe they start moving up more. You never know. But the top 3 all taking first place votes in different orders. It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be a wild season. The 3 rival series teams are like at the bottom, but again, like even Team Singularity, a player had them 4th, so it's possible. It's possible. Any of these teams have a chance to make the World Championship. We saw it last year in Europe and NA, where everyone who thought the 8th place team, Veloce and E United, would be the 8th place team, but they both made Worlds. So. Gonna be a good season. Obviously, this you'll see right after week 1 or whatever week we're doing this weekend. So we'll have a recap later in the week. I fly back on the Sunday night. I take a red eye, so I wouldn't have a video out for you Monday. So I figured I would do the EU Pro Power Rankings. I would record them early so you can see them, and then we'll have some recaps and stuff like that on Tuesday and throughout the week. But thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all the support. Really appreciate it. We're getting a ton of subs, which I'm not used to. So just keep that going. We should make 2020 the year for 100K. I doubt I'll get it, but why not? Man can dream. I want that plaque. So tell your friends. Hit the sub. Hit the bell. I don't even know what the bell does, honestly. I've never used it. I think it's a notification thing. But, like, where do the notifications go? Do they go to your email? I don't know. So that's it for me. We'll catch you guys next time.